and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number 1 arrives, and 2, oh no, nothing saves those struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
We wake up.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. A warm welcome to you from wherever you're watching us from. This is the Petra Scheme Members Conference 2024 for the Evergreen Pension Scheme. Now, the Evergreen Pension Scheme is a Tier 2 pension scheme that provides retirement benefits and security for members. And we're happy that once you receive this invitation, you have joined as a member. Now, this is not just for you, so we hope that you share the invitation with your colleagues in your office so they can also benefit from the salient information we'll be sharing today. Now, just a brief about the Evergreen Pension Scheme Conference. This is an annual general meeting organized to bring you in touch with your trustees to give you the chance to ask all your pertinent questions and understand what we've done in the last year when it comes to the management of your second tier pension funds. My name is Sarah and I will be moderating the session for this morning. A quick roundup of our agenda. First of all, you'll be meeting your trustees, so we welcome in your trustees, and then we'll have the chairman's opening remarks. We'll look at the scheme investments, the strategy, the performance, and then what we see in terms of our outlook for the rest of the year. We'll come and take the auditor's opinion because we want an independent, verified authority to ascertain every single thing that will be presented. And we'll be joined by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority representative to bring us some goodwill messages and also some new tidbits from the regulator as to what they're doing. We'll take some initiatives and then we'll be taking your questions and your concerns. So because we want this to be a very interactive session, we ask that you put your questions in the question chat boxes for whichever medium you're watching us through, and then we'll answer them appropriately as we get towards the end. Now straight to business. So for this morning's session, we have 2 trustees in person and then 2 trustees joining us online. I'll be reading their profiles because they have done a lot of work and I wouldn't want to murder their profiles by trying to summarize it. And so we'll start with the board chair. Now the board chairman for the Evergreen Tier 2 Pension Trust Board is Mr. Kofi Difin, who is the Managing Director of Petra Trust Company Limited. Prior to founding Petra Trust in 2011, Kofi spent 14 years in the asset management industry in Nigeria and the US. From 2008 to 2010, Kofi was the Chief Operating Officer in charge of asset management at Oceanic Capital Company Limited, the investment banking subsidiary of Oceanic Bank International PLC. Kofi joined OCCL, which is Oceanic, from Wellington Management Company in Boston, Massachusetts, where he was an associate partner. As the lead portfolio manager for central banks and international organizations, Kofi had the mandate to manage a portfolio of $4 billion in assets. Now, $4 billion then and $4 billion now is still very significant. And before joining Wellington Management, Kofi worked at the famous BlackRock financial management firm. At BlackRock, he led a team responsible for the management of risk in all of the firm's leveraged vehicles. Kofi earned both his master's and his bachelor's degree in engineering from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and holds an MBA from Harvard Business School. So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kofi Finn, you're welcome to this morning's session.
Thank you very much.
Now, moving on to the independent trustee who serves as the umpire or the whistleblower for the fund, we have Mr. Charles Egan. And to his profile. Now, Mr. Egan is a fellow of the Chartered Association of Certified Accountants, England and Wales, and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, with over 40 years of experience in the accountancy profession. He is also a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation, Ghana, and the Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants. He is a product of the London School of Accountancy and has attended several continuing professional, including corporate governance courses, both locally and overseas. Mr. Egan is the managing partner of CFY Partners, a 3-partner accountancy firm providing audit and assurance, tax and advisory services. He's currently a non-executive independent director on the board of the following institutions. We have the Metropolitan Life Insurance Ghana Limited, Metropolitan Health Insurance Ghana Limited, Metropolitan Pensions Ghana Limited. He also serves on the Finance and Investment Committees as chairman and Audit and Actuarial Committees and the HR, Risk and Governance Committees of these companies aforementioned. He also serves as the independent trustee of the Evergreen Pension Scheme, the Underwriters Tier 3 Master Trust Scheme, Bank of Ghana Tier 2 Pension Scheme, and the University Staff Occupational Pension Scheme. He also previously served as a non-executive director, independent director, on the board of Stanbic Bank Ghana Limited and Tangerine Life Insurance Company, which is situated in Nigeria, and also served on various committees in these institutions. He's also, or was, the consultant head writer of the Quality Assurance Monitoring Department of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, from March 2012 to June 30th, 2017. He set up that department from scratch and trained the managers and assistant managers who recruited for the department. Mr. Egan was also the country senior partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers, now PwC Ghana Limited, from 2002 to 2009, where he retired. He worked in various PwC offices from Ghana, the Zambia office, Kenya, Nigeria, in the senior management roles, and has wide experience in statutory audit, due diligence reviews, internal audit, feasibility studies, mergers and acquisitions, and the administration of insolvent companies. He also has a lot of experience in risk management issues from his role as the partner in charge of the firm's risk management issues when he was with PwC. And the clients he served were mainly in the insurance sector, finance sector, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, and equally the public sector. He's also had extensive experience in tax compliance and planning advisory, and he's worked with KPMG and Arthur Young in the United Kingdom, and he made presentations at various audit committees, as well as the corporate governance training to certain boards as well. Mr. Egan, you're very much welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
We also have Mr. Nixon Amwa Iwa, who is joining us virtually. He is a human capital expert with extensive experience in organizational transformation, development, talent management, personality profiling, among other traits and other experiences. He's currently the head of HR at EcoBank Ghana and Anglophone West Africa region, providing strategic direction on employee experience and culture. He has joined us virtually, and so I'm sure his picture will be shown on the screen. Next trustee, member nominated trustee on the board, is Mr. New Love Kwame Ejay, who joined EcoBank in August 2007 as a financial accountant and rose through the ranks to become the CFO at EcoBank Ghana PLC and regional CFO for the Anglophone West African region as well. Before becoming the CFO from September 2007 to July 2007, and that is the CFO for EcoBank, also virtually on the call, Mr. New Love Ejay. So trustees, you're very much welcome
Thank you very much.
This morning's session. Straight to business, we'll move to the chairman's remarks, and so we'll have the chairman of the EcoBank pension scheme provide.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Good morning, cherished scheme members and fellow trustees. You're welcome, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Annual General Meeting of members of the Evergreen Pension Scheme. As trustees, we are primarily responsible for the governance and administration of the scheme, and we do not take this responsibility lightly, as our decision affects the livelihood of our scheme members both at retirement and before they retire. We also recognize the need to act with reasonable care and to exercise prudent judgment in our recommendations and actions to ensure that the interests of you, our customers, are prioritized above all other interests. It is by doing this that we're able to deliver exceptional returns to you, our cherished scheme members, and ensure that you experience great service in every interaction with us. A key part of this experience, I believe, is to ensure direct communication with you in a forum like this. This is critical. So on today's program, you'll hear from some of the leaders tasked with providing you with the very best service in the industry. We will begin with the next speaker, who will present in-depth details of the scheme's performance, outlook, and portfolio strategies, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions. Before that, however, I would like to share a few details on the scheme with you. Let me preface my comments on the scheme by highlighting the market conditions and competitive environment we witnessed in 2023. 2023 saw Ghana formally enter an extended credit facility program with the IMF to implement key fiscal reforms and to put the nation's debt on a sustainable path. This program required the restructuring of Government of Ghana bonds and other debt obligations to external creditors. On the global front, geopolitical tensions in Europe and the Middle East added to the uncertainty and impacted the local currency and domestic inflation. Now, I said that with a very somber face. Now I can smile and say that we're happy that through the strong engagement with the government, in cooperation with colleague trustees, organized labor, and the NPRA, our regulator, we were able to ensure that your funds were protected from any negative effect of this restructuring. Furthermore, in spite of the challenging economic landscape, the investment team of your scheme managed to grow and generate returns above the inflation rate and benchmark treasury bills. The scheme also showed remarkable operational resilience, in contrast to other local investments, in its ability to maintain service commitments to you as the widespread liquidity challenges persisted in 2023. For any members who needed to redeem their funds, I'm sure you will agree with us that there was no issue with access to your money. The Evergreen Pension Scheme grew from 198 million Ghana cedis in assets under management at the beginning of the year 2023 to 283 million cedis as of December 2023. We started the year with 5,148 active customers and have added 255 more, which brings us to 5,380. There were 23 exits from the scheme, mostly members who retired to go on and enjoy the benefits of being members of the Evergreen scheme. When it comes to returns, we generated a return of 42.64% for the year. This performance compared favorably against the average 91-day Treasury bill of 27.16. We have to congratulate the team who did this. Let me conclude by expressing my gratitude for the trust and confidence you placed in us, your trustees. We will continue to focus on first safeguarding your assets that you have placed in our care, while seeking opportunities to maximize investments and performance on a risk-adjusted basis. We will do this while ensuring the delivery of quality service, the service that you have become used to, and ensuring convenience for you through our various service initiatives, which will be discussed in more detail during this event. We will be available to answer your questions at the end of the presentations, and we thank you for your presence and attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure members are applauding from wherever they are, hearing that the scheme returned a 42.64% return for the year 2023, amidst previous years where we had seen the extended credit facility arrangement compared to Treasury bill rates averaging for the year around 27%. So scheme members are quite happy also how the scheme has grown from 5,148 members to 5,380 members, and we are most happy as well for not just the investment teams that made the decisions, which we'll be hearing from, but also for the trustees, because they finally take the investment decisions. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Once again, this is just to remind you that you're watching the Evergreen Pension Scheme Petra Members Conference for the year 2024. We'll take a quick break, and after that we'll come in and talk more about details when released to the actual investments and our book. Do stay tuned.
We wake up and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number one arrives, and two, oh no, nothing saves those struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
And just as the chairman mentioned, we'll be moving on to the presentation of the scheme's investments, strategy, performance, and our outlook for the year. And to help us take that is Mr. Sylvester Jan, who is a portfolio manager here at Petra Trust and a member of the investment team that made sure that you got returns around 42% for last year. Mr. Jan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that kind introduction.
So kindly take us through.
All right, so as you indicated, I'll be taking this segment on the scheme's performance, outlook, and strategy for 2024. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of our scheme members who have taken the time to join us today for this year's edition of the Scheme Members Conference. Now on to the scheme's particulars and performance for the year. For the 2023 calendar year, the Evergreen pension scheme grew by 85.7 million Ghana cedis, compared to its total value as at the end of 2022. This represents a growth rate of around 43.62%. Now, net inflows, that is contributions received less member benefits paid out, represented 5% of this growth. In our presentation slides to you, we show a breakdown of the annual contributions received and annual redemptions paid out alongside the scheme's total value for each of the last 3 years. Now, the scheme incurs a total fee of 2% for the management of its assets, and this 2% fee rate is split amongst the different service providers, including the regulator, fund manager, custodian, and administrator. I would like to highlight that this 2% fee rate is in line with the regulatory provisions. Additionally, on the regulatory front, the scheme remained largely compliant with the guidelines on asset allocation for pension funds and in line with the international financial reporting standards, which our auditors will elaborate on during their presentation. Again, as shown in our presentation slides to you, exposures at the end of the year were within the maximum allowable limits for each asset class. That notwithstanding, we see a relatively high allocation to the Government of Ghana asset class, largely on the back of the domestic debt exchange program that took place during the year, which saw a reclassification of some local government securities into government bonds. Now, at this point, I'll highlight the scheme's performance for the year, which is probably the most interesting part of the presentation for our scheme members. Now, the Evergreen Pension Scheme closed the year 2023 with a net return of 42.64%. This was an exceptional performance and is compared favorably against the average 91-day Treasury bill rate of 27.16%. In real terms, this performance also outperformed the inflation rate of 23.2 by 19%. Again, the return also compared favorably against the currency depreciation of 27.81%, effectively indicating that during the period under review, it was a better choice to invest in the scheme compared to holding dollar, purely from the return perspective. And to help better appreciate the performance of the scheme, I'll highlight some of the investment activities during the year. These included investments in securities that generated interest income, as well as carefully selected mutual funds and listed stocks that contributed growth. That, combined with the gains from the domestic debt exchange program, broadly explained the performance that we see for 2023. On our outlook moving forward, strategy will be focused on enhancing diversification. That is to say that we will be balancing the distribution of the assets across the different classes and to gradually move our allocation from the Government of Ghana asset class. We will also seek to match the scheme's relatively long-term horizon. And what I mean by that is we have members only accessing their benefits on retirement or in exceptional situations. And members tend to stay invested over a long horizon, usually 10, 15 years plus. So we'll match this long-term horizon with investment opportunities that are also long-term in nature to better maximize return for the fund. So I'll end by reaffirming our commitment to an investment program that provides safety and preservation of capital for our scheme members. And beyond that, one that will seek to prudently grow your assets by maximizing return at the lowest possible risk. This will position the scheme to provide adequate retirement security and related benefits for our scheme members over the long term. Thank you very much for trusting us to manage your funds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jan, for that. And I think it's really heartwarming for members to know. In last year's conference, people had concerns and questions about why we're not investing in dollar and inflation. And it's good to hear that. For me, I'll just round it up from the 42.6 and 4%, say average of 43% return over the period. He did mention that for this return, it matched against inflation, CD dollar depreciation or currency fluctuations, and the T-bill rate. It actually outperformed them, and that's good news, and we're really grateful for this good work. And we're happy to know that we're still diversifying. I'm sure, as mentioned, on the government of Ghana assets class limits being a little higher, there's going to be some diversification and matching investment profiles, the age horizons as well over the period, so that allocation can be reduced significantly with time. Thank you so much, Team Petra, and also Sylvester Jan, for the information. We'll take another break here, and when we come back, we hear from the auditor confirming everything that our team has said here today. Let's go on the break.
We wake up and we are young. We have time. We say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number one arrives, and two, oh no, nothing saves, still struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
We wake up and we are young. We have time. We say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number one arrives, and two, oh no, nothing saves, still struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Just a reminder that you're watching the Petra Scheme Members Conference 2024 for the Evergreen Tier 2 Pension Scheme, and would encourage you that at this point you've heard about the investments, you heard the chairman speak. Please share your questions on any of the Q&A options from whichever media you're using to access this webinar on. And we'll be moving on to a very important person or institution that ensures that once scheme information has been put together, there's an independent opinion to ascertain its verity or otherwise. And this would be the auditor. We're joined by Sefaji Ahiabu, I hope I got your name right, yes, from John K. & Co. And I'll allow him to give us a little presentation on what the audits for the year 2023 have revealed. Mr. Sefaji, kindly take us away.
Okay, thank you very much. So we conducted the audits for the Evergreen Pension Scheme for the year ended 31st December 2023, and we are here to say that the financial positions and the report as presented show a true and fair position of the scheme, and that is in accordance with the National Pensions Act, the International Financial Reporting Standards, the National and Occupational Pension Schemes regulations. Now, let me continue by saying that we are independent of the scheme, and that is to say that we are not involved in the daily operations of the scheme. But there again, having conducted the audit, everything shows a true and fair position of the scheme. Now, one of the things that we encountered during the audit that we want to bring to the attention of members is what we captured as key audit matters. Now, key audit matters are just those issues, significant issues that came to our attention during the audit that we want to draw members' attention to. And then the first one having to do with the fact that during the period, the year under review, the scheme participated in the domestic debt exchange for pension funds. And then the total asset of the scheme that was exchanged for new bonds under the arrangement is 154,122,964 Ghana cedis. Now, there were procedures that we performed just to make sure that having participated in a debt exchange, everything was accounted for to the proper books of accounts were captured. So let me just go through some of those procedures that we performed. Now, our audit procedures included the following. We reviewed the financial terms of the exchange bonds to determine whether the modifications to the cash flow of the bonds were substantial enough to lead to the derecognition of the old bonds, and to check that the derecognition was done as required by IFRS 9. We also evaluated the methodology used by the scheme to determine whether the value of the old bonds being exchanged for the new ones. 3. We reviewed the balances of the new bonds in the scheme's records to ensure that at initial recognition, the new bonds were measured at fair value and confirmed the existence of the new bonds to their values on the CSD report. And 4, we reviewed the scheme's record to ensure that the financial terms of the new bonds and the interest-only bonds were correctly stated. Now, there's another aspect of the report that I want to briefly touch on. That is the report on other legal and regulatory requirements. So specifically, compliance with the requirement of the National Pensions Act 2008. We have obtained all the information and explanation, and we can see that to the best of our knowledge, the scheme has kept proper books of account. Now, the engagement partner that signed these reports for and behalf of John K. & Co. is Mr. Gilbert Ajeti Lumofio with a practice number ICAG/P/1417. So he signed this independent auditor's report for and on behalf of John K. & Co. with a firm number ICAG/F/2024/128. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ahiabu. Thank you for that presentation. I really like the words, a true and fair position for the scheme. And so the independent auditor has given us a clean bill of health when it comes to the scheme audits. And this is always available to members on the website or on the Petra portal, so you can access it for more details at your convenience. Just reminding you that this is the Evergreen Pension Scheme Tier 2 Annual General Meeting Members Conference, and so please share your questions as well. Would like to hear a lot from you after we come back from this quick break. Stay tuned.
We wake up and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number 1 arrived, and 2, oh no, nothing saves, still struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
We wake up and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number 1 arrived, and 2, oh no, nothing saves, still struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
Welcome back. And just from the last ad you saw, it was one of your relationship officers alerting you that whenever you have issues, you actually have somebody here assigned to you to speak to. So do give them a call whenever you have the chance. We're going to be zooming into another session of this, and maybe if you missed earlier what we've been doing so far, we delved into the opening remarks of the chairman, and we looked at the scheme, investment information, and performance and outlook. We then took the auditor's independent opinion, giving us a clean bill of health for the scheme. And we're going to also hear from the regulator. From the National Pensions Regulatory Authority this morning, we have Niamu Otu, who is the head of Standards and Enforcement Unit at NPRA. Mr. Otu, you are very much welcome to this morning's segment. Now, just last year, we had your deputy CEO around, and we were going into the DDEP period, but then pension funds had received a better deal. And from what the chairman and everyone else has said, we have seen the impact of that when it comes to investments. Would like to also know from the authority if there are any new developments, because the authority was instrumental in ensuring that this happened and then that scheme members were well protected. So are there any new interventions from the authority for this year?
Okay, so as far as the DDP goes, I believe government made its offer. Pension schemes were given the opportunity to take the offer or not. I think about 98%, if my memory serves me right, signed on to the product, and so far so good. We're monitoring very keenly through the report reviews, and we've noticed that coupons have been paid on time. I think we've been expecting the coupon to be paid this month. So I think we're on track with regard to whatever offer the government has brought forward. Of course, there was a bit of a hitch in terms of valuation because of the unique nature of the bonds that were offered. And so there had been some discussion in terms of the audited financials, how to present them. And I think that has been resolved also with the ICG. So I think that's about it when it comes to DDP.
Thank you very much for that. And also, I think there were some concerns also when it comes to payments, with members tending to make their payments, especially when you look at the employer side of things, making payments which reflect after the 14th. And we know the authority has significantly been working behind the scenes with some of the trustees. There's education also going on from the Petra front, but I would also like to know if there's any addition maybe from the standards and the regulatory point on this.
Okay, so actually there's a whole process that has been outlined in the law from regulations 101 to 107 of LI 1990. And it spells out various responsibilities, first from the trustees. Well, of course, we start with the employer, trustees, then with the authority. And that process has been in place for a while. So we had a recent stakeholder engagement where we had outlined clearly, of course, as you go along, you improve on your processes. So we had evaluated what had been done so far. We've drafted some practice notes basically to give further guidance to the industry, because we want to refine the operations, how this whole recovery effort is being undertaken. And so there'll be a document that will be issued, but with the stakeholder engagement, it gives us the opportunity to now present and highlight on the various responsibilities in there, and then the various actors and what the expectations were, because it's important for you to know what the expectations are. In addition, we've been prosecuting defaulting employers for a while. Of course, we can't do that without the trustees. You are the ones who actually hold the data. You are the administrators to the scheme. We are also working towards automating our systems. And so reporting, the kind of reporting, the state of your reporting is very key to us. This basically the kind of information you present to us. Because one of the key things we do when we are handling defaulters is to issue demand notices. And it's based on information that's provided by the trustees. And so we are very keen on that now, on the quality of the information or quality of the data that is submitted to us. In our automation, we are also refining the reporting requirements and also basically the protocols around report submission. And because we are automating, it means most things are now going to be digital. There's not going to be any hard copy records. We're not even going to be using the email as much. Every entity that is regulated by us will be accessing our systems through a portal where you have to be adequately registered, and you would see whatever information is relevant to the entity. So for this specific issue of defaulting, there's a particular field within that portal that will allow you to be able to provide information on a real-time basis, and whatever actions or enforcement action that needs to be taken will be taken there. So all our collaboration will be digitized, will be more efficient, and will be more effective going forward.
That's great. In terms of digitizing how the reporting is going, I think that what most people don't know is that the MPRA more or less serves as the umpire. So for everything your trustees are doing today, there's a custodian or a bank, which is maybe why I mentioned EcoBank earlier, that EcoBank is the custodian or the receiving bank when it comes to payments for Tier 2 for the Evergreen pension scheme. Again, they are fund managers, and there's the administrator that Petra says as that to provide back support office or support for reporting and other things. And each entity does present a report to the MPRA, and based on what he's saying, most of these things will be digitized, and they go through the reports painstakingly and diligently every month to ensure that everything is in order, and where there are issues, it will be noted. And once you're not hearing it like this from the webinar that there are issues, it tells you that the regulator is in a way happy with our reporting systems as well. And so for compliance sake, everything is 100% okay when it comes to the Evergreen Tier 2 pension scheme, so you can be rest assured. But finally, are there any goodwill messages you'd like to give to members watching us, and then even to the trust board themselves?
Okay, so I was just talking about the system, and we want to launch a USSD to make it easy for members, basically contributors. The initial, the initial objective is to make it easy, to give easy access to members to information with regard to their schemes they belong to, trustees, location, some general information on the trustees, to give them an idea of, or to help them make an informed decision as to which entity they should continue to belong to. But I mean, in the future, there will be additional information that will be very specific to the individual. We're also going to start doing bulk messaging, so that on a quarterly basis at least, there's certain salient information with regard to the law, certain dynamics in the industry that we can actually share. So I'm sure Petra has already been doing that. This would just, the regulator will just be doing that to enhance the effort and giving more of a global perspective to the information that is already being provided. Yes, NPRA has a mandate to ensure retirement income security, and we are doing everything that we can. We are not stuck. We're not trying not to be stuck in the Middle Ages or the Stone Age, still doing paperwork. That's why we are digitizing. And yes, digitization also means that we can be readily accessible to you. Digitization also means that we have data readily available, whatever analytics that we need to do to be able to influence policy for the benefit of members. We'll be doing that from improving benefit coverage to the quality of benefits. Basically, the automation is supposed to help us to be able to achieve that. So rest assured, MPR will keep doing what the MPR does, and we'll keep doing it and try to do it better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niamu. And so Niamu is the head of Standards and Enforcement Unit at the MPRA, and he joined us to provide some information on DDEP payments when it comes to paying on the 14th, and some digitization that is going on in the MPRA when it comes to reporting. He did mention that here at Petra, there's a lot of information flow, and so you receive messages and emails, and you also have access to relationship managers when it comes to training your staff, and also to financial advisors to help you. And MPR is also going to be enhancing that service by providing USSD, right? That gives you some information, general information about the law and then your trustees, and will further build up upon that. So thank you so much for joining us this year. We hope to see you again next year.
Okay.
And we'll be taking a quick break from here. When we come back, we have some juicy offers for you. So do stay tuned.
Hi there. Do you have the sudden need for funds? You see that loan that is taking forever to process? Or the fact that you are fighting with your landlord due to the rent advance he's asking for? Or that fees that you quickly have to pay? Well, I'm excited to let you know that at Petra, you can take advantage of your Tier 3 balance to access pension-backed lending. My name is Gideon. Reach out to us on any of the numbers below and let's book a session. I can't wait to connect with you on this one.
How have you been saving? How have you been investing? What are the things you look out for before you invest your funds? These are very important questions you need to ask before you put your funds away. My name is Dolly and I'll be very happy to book a session for you and your employees for us to discuss the best practices in investments for a better future. Give us a call on the numbers on the screen.
Hello. Did you know that paying your contributions on or before the 14th of the ensuing month can help maximize your returns?
Yes, making payments on time helps to avoid regulatory penalties. And guess what? Earn more returns for your staff. My name is Nadidi.
And I am Bernard.
We are here to assist you to stay compliant.
We wake up and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number one arrives, and two, oh no, nothing saves those struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
Welcome back. Now grab yourself a cup of coffee or a drink, because really what we're going to be talking about are the people that I enjoy the most when we're on webinar sets like this. And this part is dedicated to the Petra initiatives. Now every customer and every client, so customers are the employees and the clients are the institutions that engage us, are dearly important to us here at Petra. And we're going to be hearing some of the things that went on in the previous year and some of the things that we're doing to ensure that your relationship with us is a very strong one, a mutually beneficial one for that matter. And here to help me have this conversation, we have the Senior Team Lead for Customer Experience here at Petra, Miss Phyllis Peregrino-Brimer, and then also Mr. Kennedy Smith, who is the Head of Institutional Business. And so Phyllis is going to be taking us through some interesting initiatives for the customers for this year. Thank you, Phyllis. You can take us through.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so I'd like to take the opportunity to say a big thank you to all our cherished Evergreen customers for making the time to join us for this year's conference. Okay, I'll delve right into it. So we observed that for most of our customers who sign up to our USSD platform, they usually call in requesting for a copy of their full statement. And that was because previously on the USSD platform, you could only download a summary statement if you needed to look at the contributions, the history of your contributions, So as a forward-looking organization and caring about the customer's experience, we thought it wise to have a functionality that allows our customers to easily download a full copy of their statement on our USSD platform. So we introduced the full statement option on our USSD platform. So for our customers, you can easily and conveniently do that on the USSD shortcode. And I'd like to take the opportunity to also encourage our customers to try as much as possible, month on month, to track their contributions, just to make sure that the payments are coming in as expected and on time from their employers as well. So it will help with their pension contributions here. So that's for our USSD platform. Now, for withdrawals by retirees, most of the time, people will have to complete forms, get it scanned, and then send emails with attachments. And then we thought it wise to also introduce a platform that allows them to easily make withdrawals. So we introduced an online Tier 2 withdrawal platform. So once you're a retiree, or once you get to retirement, you see a click or a pop-up that allows you to do such a withdrawal on the online platform. All you need to do is click on it, put in a few details, add attachments, and you are good to go. So it gives our customers some ease, convenience, and then access to their funds whenever and at every point in time. So that's for our activities on our self-service platform. Now, we had a few engagements with our customers as well. I'm sure for most of us, at the beginning of the year, we all had New Year resolutions. We usually write a very tall list of that. Okay. So as an organization, we thought it wise to have a conversation with our customers at the beginning of the year to help them make the right financial choices for the year. So we introduced a webinar. We had one that talked about money matters. And it talks to you about how to organize your finances for the coming year. So for our customers who could not join us, and for those that did but have forgotten the details of that conversation, you can still have that available on our YouTube channel. You just enter Money Matters, and then you can refresh your memory just to make sure you're on the right track with your finances for the year. And then we had our usual customer service week celebration. We had some of our customers coming in and then encountering us, experiencing us, and then taking away some nice gifts and souvenirs from us. And we'll be expecting them, them this year as well. And they are all welcome. They should come spend some time with us and then take away some lovely presents as well.
When is Customer Service Week? In October?
It's usually, the first week of October.
So we just have 2 months to ensure we come running here for our gifts.
They're all welcome to come join us.
All right, thank you so much, Phyllis. There's some ease and convenience that Petra has provided. And so now when you're using the USSD platform or the shortcode on your smartphone or on your YAM, you can access a full statement compared to previously when you could only see the mini statement. Again, for Tier 2 redemptions, I think we've heard Stone Age and medieval times a lot this morning. We have moved, as Phyllis mentioned, redemptions to an online platform where in just a matter of clicks you can apply for Tier 2 redemption once you are due to retire. And that's why I say I like these people, because Phyllis has told us that the gifts in October, and we're going to be hearing from Kennedy as well, some of the initiatives that have been put in place for clients or corporate institutions. Thank you very much, Kennedy, for joining us.
Thank you,
you can help us with some of the good news.
Thank you, and I'm glad to join our distinguished scheme members once again this year. I'm noted as the bearer of good news, and rightly so, I have a lot of good news for our scheme members. So greetings to all our scheme members, and I'll be a bit biased to greet our contact persons, those who have been helping us in terms of validating schedules and making payments on behalf of all scheme members. You are very special to us, so I'd like to extend warm greetings on behalf of management to all of you for always adhering to all the things that we ask for. One of the things that we do as Petra is to ensure that all our clients, especially the employers, to be compliant with the NPR regulation, as Mr. Mankwai actually indicated. There are strict compliance things that they expect all corporate trustees to adhere to. And for us as your partner, we believe that you shouldn't get to the place where you have to find yourself in paying more for what you do for your employees. So as part of these conversations, we want to just run all our contact persons through some of the things that you need to do when you are doing your payments month on month. As part of the payments process, in Petra, what we're trying to do is to help you to be compliant with the payment. So you need to validate your schedule before you make a payment. And in validating your schedule, you'll get a schedule ID. What that means is that when you make the payment, all your employees get credited within some few hours. They'll get credited because the schedule has already been validated. And when you are making those payments as well, you need to indicate those schedule IDs as reference, so that those smooth updates on the employee balances can be done without any hitches. And one of the things that a lot of people, I think, have missed over time is the compliance date for the payment. So in the MPRA guidelines, it's stated as 14th of the ensuing month. If you are paying for January, it means by 14th February, you should have made the payment. Now, what MPRA actually looks out for is the value date. This is a defined contribution. So it is when the money can start working is what MPRA actually cares about. So if you know you make payments maybe by check, what it means is that you need to make the payments 3 clear working days. Let me use working days because there are some weekends and there are some holidays. 3 clear working days before the 14th, so that by the 14th, the value date will be on the 14th or before the 14th.
So I'm just curious, you're saying that despite as an employer, me going to SNIT on, let's say this is Friday and I pay on the 14th at SNIT, compared to the tier 2 scheme which you mentioned, the defined contribution scheme, I need to ensure that I don't go on the 14th, which is a Friday, because then I won't get credit for the check I would be making the payment for. So I should look at 3 days before and make the payments to be recognized.
Exactly, rightly so, because you know the banking system, when you pay a check, it has to take 3 days before it clears, and holidays and weekends are not part of it, right? So we also don't want our scheme members, lose value, and that's how come MPR is very insistent on the value dates. So as part of the relationship, what we're trying to do is to communicate some through email, some of the reminders, so that at least employers can get to know, contractors can get to know that, oh, it's time to make payments, so that at least they can make the payments ahead of time to meet the 14th date. If as on top of this, when you miss the 14th day, even if there's 1 day miss, if it is 15th, it means you have to pay surcharge, which is 3% compounded.
That's a penalty.
That's a penalty that you will pay. But this penalty goes to your employees. It's not to MPRA or Petra, but it goes to your employees. But it's cost to the employers. So we would like to advise that we adhere to these regulations, so that we do not get to the point where you need to pay the 3%. All right. Now on to the good news. So as your partner, one of the things that we're trying to help every individual on this call to achieve is that when you go on retirement, you should be able to know how much you can spend, and you should have a place to sleep. How are you able to know that? And it's through engagement and education. So in Petra, we've instituted a learning scheme we call the financial planning and the retirement planning. So what happens is that if we help you through to understand the value you are accruing today and how it can affect tomorrow, whether when you go on retirement, you should be able to have enough to be able to take care of yourself when you are sleeping in your vacation house and in your luxurious car, and some of you in your jets, right? So The financial planning is being instituted for all scheme members, whether you are on tier 2 or tier 3 or whichever. This is tier 2 scheme, but we'd like to encourage everyone to take advantage of the financial planning. And in the financial planning, there are some products that we'll be sharing with you. We've put together some products. So the Plus Income Fund is one of the products that is being distributed by our Petra Securities Limited, one of our subsidiaries. It's a mutual fund that you can take advantage of. There is also Balance Fund that is also a mutual fund with different constituents that you can also take advantage of. All right. Recently, during the DDEP, we realized that there is a need for people to have some fixed income assets or investment. So we introduced fixed deposits and also some treasury bills. These are not distributed by Petra Trust as corporate trustees, being distributed by the Petra Securities Limited. So you can reach out to any of our advisors and we will get in touch with you to be able to help you to understand the need for you to even put some monies away to be able to secure your financial future. All right. I know when Sylvester was talking earlier, he mentioned about how to hedge against the currency within the scheme. Likewise, we know that people have funds and would like to take advantage of the currency risk. So we also introduced the Euro bond, that's a Sentinel that you can also take advantage of. All right, that's one of the. So these are all bouquet of products that we have under our belt to be able to help individuals to be able to save for the future. Recently, we also introduced some credit lines. That is an easy loan. Per the MPRA guidelines, you can use your tier 3 as a security to secure a loan. In order for scheme members to be able to do this seamlessly without any issue, we decided to bring up an initiative called Easy Loan. What it does is that we do not give out the loans. Let me be clear. And if you are a tier 2, this is a tier 2 customers. But I know some people on this call that have savings booster schemes or savings booster investment. This product is actually for the tier 3 scheme members and savings booster scheme members. So if you have a tier 3, you can use your tier 3 as a security to secure a loan. And in doing that, you can do that through our Easy Loan product. What does this product comes with? So it helps you to be able to acquire loans to manage your immediate expenses without falling on your investment. Bear in mind that if you're doing a pre-tax contribution towards your savings booster or tier 3, if you are taking money before 10 years, it means that you're going to suffer the 15% withholding. And that is a loss of value. And in Petra, because we want to partner you to be financially secured, we do not want that for you. So we've gone ahead to negotiate with some vendors, some lenders that can be able to offer loan at a very competitive rate for our scheme members. And that is what Easy Loan represents. Beyond that, we also identified that the rent has become a very, very, very expensive, let me say, cost item on people's budgets. So we decided to also talk to more lenders who are into rent so that they'll be able to offer some rent advance for some employees or scheme members that may need it. And so today we've introduced what we call Easy Rent. And what it does is that it helps you to be able to acquire your 2-year advance or 1-year advance, or if you want to do 6 months advance to your landlord, so that we don't want a situation where your landlord will be throwing your things away. And that's what Easy Rent has come to solve. So what you can do is you can contact any of our sales agents. The numbers will be displayed so that you get in touch with them. They walk you through the process. The whole objective is that we don't want your things to be thrown away from your room when you are away to go and work. So
there's a funny one I heard this morning. Some people would hire military people to come to their house, beat them up because they don't want to pay their rent and then carry their things out. And that's something we don't want to happen. But just quick one on that. So we know that the easy loans cannot be assessed by the members if they don't have a tier 3. So it's good to talk to your employer to get your tier 3 or start a savings booster scheme with Petra. However, for the rent product, can the tier 2 customers that are listening access it in any way?
Yes. So for the Easy Rent, a tier 2 customer can access. All right. And the process is very seamless. All right. What you do is that you, if you want, let's say for example, a 2-year advance and your rent is, let's say, 1,000 cedis. All right. There will be some commitment, 1 month commitment that you make. and the company will go and inspect the house that you want to go and live in, and they'll have a conversation with the landlord, an agreement to be established. Then the advance will be done, so that you can move into your house. What it means is it saves you from gathering all the bulk money to be able to pay your 2-year advance. So tier 2 customers who are on Evergreen pension scheme can still access the easy rent.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Phyllis. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. As always, you don't only look colorful, you also bring such color.
One last good news for my people.
Definitely, please go ahead.
Don't take it away from them, because this is the biggest thing that
sure,
a lot of people have been calling me on the side that, why is it that you told us 2 years ago that there is easy mortgage. Where are the houses?
Okay.
So the good news is that today there are houses available for scheme members who are interested to access a home for themselves to be able to live in. They can actually take advantage of that. So today is no longer easy mortgage. It is easy homes. What it means is that you can buy a home outright by using your tier 3 as a security for it, and you can also have a home plan where you save towards that future to be able to secure the house of your choice. Now, we've had conversation with developers to be able to give us a very good competitive housing. So we have 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and if you want the luxurious one, we can help you to do that. All right. The most important thing here is that we also help you with the financing. We've spoken with some banks that actually can help you if you don't have enough at your disposal, and you would like to maybe secure some mortgage. Because we are experts in pension-backed mortgage, we can actually help you to get a bank that can give you a mortgage at a very affordable rate in order for you to secure your home. The most important thing here for all of us is that don't wait till you go on retirement before you find a place to sleep. Get a house of your choice now, so that when you go on retirement, you shouldn't find yourself wanting sleeping on landlord's verandas. We don't want that. So we have a solution for everyone. Get in touch with all our advisors, and we'll be able to come in to your organization, come and talk to you, and provide some of the solutions with respect to all these products.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. And just as they said, I heard ease. We started with the word ease and convenience in how you can even assess your own benefits and see how your funds are growing. And then we moved into the products that all provide you some form of ease. And so now if you want a house, you can have a house to yourself. You don't have to wait till retirement to actually start making that decision. Please speak to us. If you can't afford it now, we can start a plan with you that helps you get towards that goal. If that still isn't what you're looking at and yours is rented this December, your landlord is going to be smiling very much because you're going to bring your Christmas bonus to him. Let's talk about the easy rent as well, where you can actually pay your rent without having to gather all that money or be thrown out of your house. And when you have short-term financial needs, there are very competitively priced loans here that you can take advantage of. And if you're looking at hedging yourself in terms of currency or investments, there are also a range of investment products that you can take advantage of. So there's everything, a little bit of everything here. And this is what Petra is good at, ensuring that you're smiling, you're not just saving your 5% of your basic salary towards retirement, but you're able to assess it for very different needs and wants at every point in time. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be listening to a testimonial from a customer. So just to prove if everything everybody else is saying here is true, we're going to be hearing from a customer give you first-hand experience of Petra. We'll be back soon.
My name is Angela Libel, and I was former MD of Bayport's Financial Service, now Bayport Savings and Loans. And in 2012, when we were looking for corporate trustees to manage our Tier 3, amongst the many companies that came, somehow Petra was the one that we got attracted to from their pitch. And so we started business with Petra in 2012. Basically, they explained to the entire staff and to management, etc. But for me personally, one thing that I learned or I took on was that at the time the government was giving 16.5% tax deductible on your provident fund if you had one. So I realized that although the company was given, I think 7.7, I realized that I could give more based on the advice of Petra. So personally, I was giving the full 16.5%, 7 and 9.5 from myself. Now we contributed for so long and everything was okay. One of the good things was their statements, so individuals could see their statements. We could all monitor our statements. If we had a problem, we could contact them. But basically everything has been fine and was fine then. Personally, it did help me in my retirement. I took early retirement in 2017-18. My late husband wasn't too well. So we flew to the UK. And one good experience that I had with Petra, it got to a time where some of the bills got very high and I needed money. So I think if I recall well, I called Kennedy Smith and then he just said, you can do it online. So what I did was he walked me through doing it online. The money was paid into my account and then the bankers transferred it to the UK hospital. That was a good one. Thereafter, I've taken out some of the money for my mango farm. I've introduced Petra to a lot of people, admittedly, especially the savings booster. So if you work, we have this family meeting here of children we took care of. We call it E85. And for everybody, they are supposed to open a Petra booster account as an individual because most of them work for themselves. So it's been good. I would encourage people to use the booster plan. I'll encourage people to look at their statements. I like this idea that when you look at your statement, you see where the monies have been placed in this wheel of circle, where they've portioned the money, apportioned the investments, telling you the returns on the investment. So I think it's generally good. I'm on retirement. I intend starting work, a little project. When I do, I'll come back to Petra. That's for sure, for my employees. So thank you.
We wake up and we are young. We have time, we say. Then, here comes the 20s and the 30s. We are married, baby number one arrives, and two, oh no, nothing saves those struggling hand to mouth. And then, one day we wake up and 60 is here. And nothing's been achieved.
Don't get caught in the cycle. Take your first step to a secured financial future with Petra. Call Petra today for your free advisory session on 024-243-5037. Petra, achieve more.
It's nice to see you again, and we are inching slowly towards the end of this session. This is the Evergreen Tier 2 Pension Scheme Annual Members Conference. And our theme for this year has been innovating together, charting a new course in pensions delivery. Just to remind you that we're hitting the Q&A session and would like to hear from you. So kindly share your questions on any of the media you're watching us from, and we will answer them appropriately. So I have some of my panelists back here, Phyllis, Kennedy, and Sylvester. And over the course of the whole entire webinar and the conference, there have been some questions that have come in. So first of all, someone is asking, can I access my funds whenever I want? And Phyllis, I'd like you to take that.
Okay. So when it comes to the tier 2, there are certain conditions for withdrawals. I would like to just take you quickly through them. So the first one is when you go on retirement, that's at age 60, that's a statutory retirement. Or when you retire earlier than 60, which is at 55, that's classified as an early retirement. So those two conditions allows you to withdraw your funds. In addition, we have certain instances where an individual gets permanently disabled. So if you are permanently disabled and cannot work anymore, you can also assess your contributions. We also have an instance where you've become unemployed at age 50. You can also request for your funds through the Labour Commission. And then in the unfortunate event that you are deceased, your beneficiaries can also come in and then request for your funds. So those are the conditions under which you can request for your funds. You can't come earlier than that, unfortunately. But
these are the conditions. You can access whenever you want, but there are some legal conditions. So in the unfortunate circumstance where you pass on, but maybe for your beneficiaries, fortunate for them, what processes should people put together when they are working? Because someone will say, I don't want next of kin to spend my money. How do they ensure that that information is even with us? Is it even important to go through that process?
It is. It actually is. So once you have a tier 2 account, it's very important that you update your accounts with your beneficiaries, because I'm sure once you are working, you have individuals that are the main focus for which you're working, and you would want them to be well sorted out whenever you're not around. So it's important that you update your accounts with your beneficiaries. Fortunately for you, you can easily do that on our members portal. So you can just log into the members portal and then click on your tier 2 accounts, and it gives you the opportunity to update your beneficiaries. And you can even portion the portions of the funds in terms of percentages, how much you want each individual listed to have in their accounts in the event you are no more around. So it's very important to do that to even prevent any family issues and squabbles and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's important to do that.
Alright, so you can easily do that on the portal. Like she said, you can amend the percentages. So if your wife annoys you, you can just come and change it and reduce your amount. But then there's ease, and you can do that anytime you want on the portal as well. So don't leave your family members stranded. Do you have a contribution to add to that?
Yeah, I think there was this story that actually happened. It's a real story though. Okay. So there was this woman that came to us that he has said that her ex-boyfriend is dead. And when they were dating, her name was part of the beneficiary submitted to Petra. So she's coming for entitlement. Well, to her benefit, her name was there.
Unfortunately.
All right. Unfortunately to the family, but fortunately to her. Yeah, so this is a very critical moment that we want every scheme member to take it seriously. We are just creating a platform for you to update if, well, that's why the portal is available, but it's a decision that you have to take that step so that when you are no more, you won't create issues for your family. So as Phyllis indicated, I would like to encourage every scheme member, as we are talking, kindly log on to the members portal and update if you have any update to make so that you don't find yourself wanting.
So maybe to the gentlemen, because I hear that a lot for them, side chicks are not beneficiaries, I guess. And it's your actual family members. So ladies are also culprits of not putting their husbands there, but this is you giving some money to people so that there's no issue and preparing your family members. So ensure you do that. It's important so we can prevent the case that Kennedy mentioned, which is a real situation that happens day in, day out. Sylvester, the gentleman that gave us the information on the returns, people are still interested in the DDEP and are asking, are we still investing in Government of Ghana bonds after the DDEP?
So thank you to the scheme member for this question. I think it's a fair question to ask. In my earlier presentation, I think we indicated that as part of our strategies going forward, we will try and reduce our exposure to the Government of Ghana asset class. Our exposures currently are a little higher than we would like, partly because of the debt exchange program, which meant that we obviously got about a 15% increase in our overall nominal positions in Government of Ghana bonds. And also the reclassification of some securities into GOGs from the local government asset class. So that has meant that we are a little bit more exposed than we would like. So over time, we'll try and reduce that. But there will be instances when it would probably make sense to consider government treasuries for whatever strategy that we are trying to implement. So, for example, if we find an opportunity on the market to buy these securities at prices relatively cheaper than what we see on the market, and based on our view, we think that the prices will go up in the near future, we can buy them now and seek to exit or sell these bonds at a later date to improve our return. So that is one instance where we will consider the Government of Ghana treasuries. There will be other instances as well where, for example, it would make sense for us to invest in treasury bills over a short-term period, and when these instruments mature, we'll then use the proceeds to actually invest in another asset class. So at the time that we had the funds available, the opportunity in that other asset class might not be ready, but we can invest in treasury bills for 2 to 3 months and then move the proceeds into that asset class when it's the right time for us to do so. So those would be the instances when we will consider the Government of Ghana asset class.
So I hope that satisfies you for whoever asked. It's not directly a yes, but there's an intelligent way about going around this. Unfortunately, like you said, the scheme is already locked because of the DDEP, but did make some significant gains from there. And it will be intelligently and monitoring tentatively, looking at things and being able to take the best decisions for the scheme members. And I'm sure because we mentioned that the scheme had returned 42.6%, somebody's asking what has been the current performance for 2024 so far.
Okay. So far this year, I think we have tried to implement a lot of the investment activities last year that worked and are still relevant. And so that mostly has to do with some of the mutual funds that we considered and are still useful investment opportunities for us to consider this year. So together with the fund manager on the scheme, we carefully work on the security selection of assets for the Evergreen pension fund. And so far, some of these decisions are paying off. I think as at the end of July, we are tracking a year-to-date return of around 17%, annualized at 28%. So this is still an impressive performance of the scheme so far this year.
That's very good. All right, thank you so much, Sylvester. So despite everything Kennedy has said, someone still needs clarity on a few things with respect to products. And I think one of the questions is, can Tier 2 customers access Easy Homes?
So that's one of the big good news. So yes, a Tier 2 customer can access Easy Home. So everyone on this call, this is the good news that you need to carry along to all your friends and colleagues who are able to join us. And this can only happen with Petra. So we want to have a conversation with any scheme member who is interested to access a home. And we have varied opportunities that we can use to have that conversation. So get in touch with any of our home providers. We'll display the numbers, or you can call our main line. We'll be directed to them. They will come in and talk to you. If, for example, maybe you think that your organization, a lot of people, talking to your friends and they want that, we can come in and talk to the entire staff. But the good news is, yes, a Tier 2 customer can access Easy Home through Petra.
All right, thank you very much. I think this is on the back of the question or the submission we made on the payment. So some employees are asking if they can enforce the employers making sure their payments reflect on the 14th and how to go about that.
Okay. So in terms of enforcement, we actually encourage that employees also check their statement. In Petra, we have a rule, and the rule is that every week when you sit behind your desk after saying your prayers, the next thing is to open your pension Petra statements and check whether the investment is growing, so that you'll be able to ask all the necessary questions that you need to ask. And we encourage that because we don't want you to wait till you go on retirement before you start chasing your funds. Now, when you find any gaps, all right, as part of enforcement, you can actually check in with your human resource department or check in with your account if payments have been made based on what we are saying. And I'm sure if there are any explanation, it will be given. But what we are doing as partners to the employers is to make sure that they make the payments on time. So we also encourage you to also add your voice to it. But I know our employers are very compliant, so it won't get to a point where you need to have placards to make sure that they make payments. All right, but it can be done. We encourage everybody to be checking their statements.
Okay. Still on the questions, we're getting feedback that people still want to know. So this is a follow-up. Someone said, if my value date or if my payment date for contribution reads the 16th of the month, does that mean my employer has defaulted?
So to answer the question directly, yes. Per the law, if the value date is beyond 14th, it means there is a default and surcharge has to apply. All right, so as I indicated earlier, we've already started a reconciliation exercise where we are working with employers, informing them of the months that are in default and how they need to regularize it as soon as possible. So don't hold your placards here to go and tell your employers to come and pay the surcharge. We're already on course by talking to them. But yes, on the 16th, even if it's on the 15th, it's a default. That's why we're encouraging our employers to try and make payments way ahead of time.
Okay. Now, I'm seeing that this is creating some conversation. So someone is asking, why is there a surcharge for late payments when the check is paid on the 13th of the month? I think we need to provide some more clarity.
Thank you very much, and grateful for that question. The reason being that, as I said, the value date that we're looking at for is 14th. If you make payments on the 13th, the probability that you won't meet the 14th is very high because the clearing days for check bank to bank is maximum 32 hours, right? So if you pay on the 13th, it means that if there are no weekends in between, it's going to be 17th. And that means you are 3 days in default, right? So 13th is contribution date, but it is not value date. So that is why you need to make the payment 3 clear working days from the 14th.
And then this isn't a Petra rule, it's actually a regulatory rule, because I had a conversation with Niamu on that. And just to clarify what Kennedy is saying, you don't need to remit, because then the day you make the check payment is just contribution date. If you give somebody a check, it gains value or it reflects on a certain day, and that's the date that is used for investments. And like you said, even in the case of surcharges, the surcharge comes to the employees, but it means that if the company pays early, the employees get better returns from that, then because you have the money earlier to make investments for them a lot earlier. And so it helps. I know that companies run payroll around this time of the month, so it will help to validate your schedules early on your portal. Phyllis has said everything is highly digitized. It's the word we're hearing a lot this morning. And so you can go on the portal and then make your payments as well. And then, but just don't pay your check on the 13th. Like you said, it's not like the SNIT process. This is different. And this is a defined contribution. You might want to explain what defined contribution means.
Okay, so let me start with the opposite. That's defined benefits, which that's what SNIT does. So for defined benefits, your benefit is being defined. I'm just changing the words. But what it means is that there's a predetermined computation formula that it will be used to determine your monthly benefit when you go on retirement. So usually, as we speak today, they use your best 3-year annual salary, match it against the number of months that you've contributed, then they will determine the minimum band and up to the maximum band that SNIT has provided. So that's defined benefit. All right. Now for defined contribution, you get a lump sum out of your contributions and the returns accrued over time. And like what Sylvester indicated, as your funds are being invested, we are making sure that in Petra we get value above inflation and other macroeconomic factors, right? So that the money can be worthwhile when you go on retirement. So with defined contribution, the timing of your payments is key. And that's how come in the wisdom of the law, NPRA is insisting that for defined contribution, what needs to be worked with is the value date. So if you go and make payments at SNET on the 13th, they'll be recognized, even on the 14th, recognized the same day, because there is no investment, or let me say there is no accrued income attached to it. Regardless of what, you get your money, your monthly benefits. But for this one, the timing of the payment is dependent highly on the value that you need to accrue, and that's the reason we're using the word value date. All right, so that's basically the difference between defined contribution and defined benefits.
All right, so make sure you don't pay close to the 13th and the 14th. You should do it earlier so that the money will reflect on or before the 14th. Now I'm going to let Phyllis and Ken struggle to answer this one. And it says, I recently left my company for the UK. How can I claim my contributions now? Any of you can take it.
Okay, so having left the shores of Ghana to the UK, there's need for us to be very certain of your status as a citizen. Because per the law, once you are a Ghanaian citizen, despite your geographical boundaries, you are required by law to request for your tier 3 or to access your tier 2 accounts only when you go on retirement or any of the conditions previously mentioned in our discussion. However, if you become a citizen or you have dual citizenship, then of the new country that you're resided in, then you can initiate a request for your withdrawal. So for that, you can send an email to our customer service line at and then our customer service email address, or you can have a chat with us on our members portal, and then we'll furnish you with the documents that you need or assist you to create a request on our online portal, and then you can start the withdrawal process.
Thank you so much for this. Is there anything you want to weigh in on that, or that's you said it all?
Yeah, I think what Phyllis indicated is actually what is supposed to be. But the thing is that if you are a Ghanaian and you are moving out, no matter what you do, you're a Ghanaian. You end up coming back. So my advice has always been that the funds you've accrued, it will be an investment, and it will be there for you till you maybe even want to come and do year of return. If it's a tier 3, it's something you can follow, right? So don't be in a rush to take your money, all right? But if you're immigrating permanently, then it means that one you need to prove that you're immigrating permanently. And those are some of the documents that you have to provide before your funds can be paid to you.
Thank you so much. Now, says final question. I want to make additional contributions towards my own pension. I can't tell whether this is to the tier 2 or something personal, but it's personal in a way. So how do I start?
Okay, so let me take it from on two angles. If it is maybe you are paying your tier 2, it's coming through maybe Evergreen pension scheme, and you are doing your side business and you want to pay a tier 2, all right, you can do multiple employer, right? So it's allowed. However, what you can do is that you can set up your company with us so that you pay that tier 2 through that company, all right? Or you can set up an individual tier 2. Bear in mind, for tier 2, you can access it so you go on retirement, as Phyllis rightly indicated, right? But if you want to do, maybe you have extra funds that you want to do a tier 3 contribution because you already have a tier 2, then all the products that are indicated are options that are available to you. So the plus income fund is one, the balance fund is one. You can do a fixed deposit, you can do the Sentinel, the Euro bond, you can do our mighty savings booster. It is the best performing individual personal pension scheme as we speak today. So the mighty savings booster, please get in touch and let's tell you more about it if you've not heard of it. So you can do savings booster, or you can do a tier 3 through the company that you set up. So all these options are available if you want to do extra investments. and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. We'll be happy to have a conversation with you. And finally, I'll be taking some closing remarks from our panel here and goodwill messages for our customers that are listening. So we're starting with Phyllis.
Okay, so I would like to say once again a big thank you for your audience and for listening to all that we have for you today. My prayer is that as you go on and save towards your retirement, you make sure that you hold yourself accountable to ensuring that every contribution that is for you and is required to be made by your employer on your behalf reflects on your account. Don't get tired of making sure that you always check on your statements and make sure that your contributions reflect as expected. It's very important for us to make sure that our customers get what they deserve. So always have that at the back of your mind, and all the best.
Kennedy.
Thank you, Sarah. So I represent the clients, so I'd like to say thank you to all our contact persons. I know sometimes our emails are a lot, but it is for you to be compliant. We don't want any issue with you and MPRA, so please bear with us. And also, I'd like to encourage all our contact persons to reach out to their relationship managers and our client service number if, for example, there are any concerns or things around this surcharge conversation that we are talking about. If you want the retirement planning or financial planning, feel free to reach us so that we can come in and talk to you. All the other products that I indicated, all I'll say is that there's this famous quote that I always talk about when I go for planning, that look, you don't need to save because you have a need. You have to save because the future is unpredictable. And in doing that, it means that you need to start now. Last year we're here, we spoke about these things, and if you've not jumped on it, there's been a whole year. Check the currency, the CD dollar appreciation, and check inflation. It will tell you that the decision has to be today and not tomorrow. So please save now for that future that you want, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sylvester.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo a lot of what has been said earlier on by Ken and Phyllis. But I think this forum has been a very useful one for us to have a meaningful conversation with our cherished customers and scheme members of the Evergreen Pension Scheme. Hopefully, you got to understand a little bit more the work that we do, the thinking that goes into some of the decisions that trustees take on your behalf for your ultimate benefit. So we hope that you'll also be able to take advantage of the numerous opportunities and different products that Petra has available. And all of this will go to secure your retirement for the Evergreen Pension Scheme. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sylvester. Thank you, guys. It's been very insightful and very fun speaking to you. I hope we can do this again next year. Thank you. So we're going for our final commercial break, and when we come back, we hear from our trustees, and we can call it a day.
Yes.
Hello. Did you know that paying your contributions on or before the 14th of the ensuing month can help maximize your returns?
Yes, making payments on time helps to avoid regulatory penalties. And guess what? Earn more returns for your staff. My name is Nadidi.
And I am Bernard.
We are here to assist you to stay compliant.
Hi there. Do you have the sudden need for funds? You see that loan that is taking forever to process? Or the fact that you are fighting with your landlord due to the rent advance he's asking for? Or that fees that you quickly have to pay? Well, I'm excited to let you know that at Petra, you can take advantage of your Tier 3 balance to access pension-backed lending. My name is Gideon. Reach out to us on any of the numbers below and let's book a session. I can't wait to connect with you on this one.
How have you been saving? How have you been investing? What are the things you look out for before you invest your funds? These are very important questions you need to ask before you put your funds away. My name is Dolly, and I'll be very happy to book a session for you and your employees for us to discuss the best practices in investment for a better future. Give us a call on the numbers on the screen.
My name is Angela Libel, and I was former MD of Bayport's Financial Service, now Bayport Savings and Loans. And in 2012, when we were looking for corporate trustees to manage our Tier 3, amongst the many companies that came, somehow Petra was the one that we got attracted to from their pitch. And so we started business with Petra in 2012. Basically, they explained to the entire staff and to management, etc. But for me personally, one thing that I learned or I took on was that at the time the government was giving 16.5% tax deductible on your provident fund if you had one. So I realized that although the company was given, I think 7.7, I realized that I could give more based on the advice of Petra. So personally, I was giving the full 16.5%, 7 and 9.5 from myself. Now we contributed for so long and everything was okay. One of the good things was their statements, so individuals could see their statements. We could all monitor our statements. If we had a problem, we could contact them. But basically, everything has been fine and was fine then. Personally, it did help me in my retirement. I took early retirement in 2017-18. My late husband wasn't too well, so we flew to the UK. And one good experience that I had with Petra, it got to a time where some of the bills got very high and I needed money. So I think if I recall well, I called Kennedy Smith and then he just said, you can do it online. So what I did was he walked me through doing it online. The money was paid into my account and then the bankers transferred it to the UK hospital. That was a good one. Thereafter, I've taken out some of the money for my mango farm. I've introduced Petra to a lot of people, admittedly, especially the savings booster. So if you work, we have this family meeting here of children we took care of. We call it E85. And for everybody, you are supposed to open a Petra booster account as an individual because most of them work for themselves. So it's been good. I would encourage people to use the booster plan. I'll encourage people to look at their statements. I like this idea that when you look at your statement, you see where the monies have been placed in this wheel of circle, where they've portioned the money, apportioned the investments, telling you the returns on the investment. So I think it's generally good. I'm on retirement. I intend starting work, a little project. When I do, I'll come back to Petra. That's for sure, for my employees. So thank you.
A lot of important information relating to the Evergreen pension scheme. Just reminding you that this is the Petra Members Scheme Conference for the Evergreen Tier 2 pension scheme. And thank you for staying with us. We are actually at the end of this. We have the trustees back on set and the independent trustee, Mr. Charles Egan, will be giving us some closing remarks, after which we will say bye and meet you again next year. So Mr. Egan, kindly give us your closing remarks.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks a lot. Good day, distinguished members of the Evergreen scheme. the representatives of the regulator and the auditor here present, and let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, all too soon we've come to the end of another very successful annual stakeholders meeting. I thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this year's meeting. The technical team that provides service to your scheme have given you some insights of the operations of your scheme and how they manage to protect the assets of your scheme. The regulator's representative has given the assurance that your scheme is compliant with provisions of the relevant laws and regulations, as well as the guidelines and directives issued by NPRA. The representative of the auditor to the financial statements of the scheme, Messrs. John K. & Co., has confirmed that his firm provided an unqualified, that is clean opinion on the 2023 audited financial statements. Please permit me to just emphasize some key highlights of discussions this morning. First, let me talk about the assets under management. It's assuring to note that there were no breaches to the NPRA guidelines with respect to the asset allocation, and the scheme has grown since inception in 2018, both in members and also in the assets under management. Gratifying to know that the assets under management at inception of about 84 million in 2018 has grown to 288.3 million as at the end of December. It continues to grow, and as at June 2024 stands about 328.8 million. That is a very impressive growth of about 387% since inception. During this year, on the review, that's the 2023, your assets grew by 90.2 million, comprising investment income of an impressive 85.6 million, having in mind the economic environment under which such investment income came in. Contribution by members of about 16.1 million, and the benefits paid out of about 11.5 million. The highest paid benefit was about 4.1 million. For the 6 months to June, the benefits paid out was 3.8 million Ghana cedis, and the highest benefit paid was about 938,000 Ghana cedis. This morning, you've heard about the investment opportunities that Petra provides to you members, and especially maybe those who are going on retirement. And some of the vehicles are the Savings Booster, regulated by NPRA, Plus Income Fund, regulated by Securities and Exchange Commission, the Plus Balance Fund, regulated by SEC, Fixed Deposits, and then Treasury Bills, which is managed through the partner firms of Petra. They always assign an advisor, a financial advisor, to any retiree or retirees who are about to go on retirement, and to help them to make decisions on the nature and types of investment. I think they've also made us aware of the training opportunities that are available to all of us. What is quite assuring is that there's even some bespoke training whereby your employers would actually request for training for all your employees at their convenience. I think some of the training subjects are the overview of the Pensions Act and regulations, the financial planning, the retirement planning, the performance review of client portfolio. You also have a real-time access to the statements via the members portal. We entreat you to just follow the steps provided by Petra to create your own online accounts. It's always important to keep updating the records, especially with the Ghana card numbers. And Petra makes a lot of effort to try and attain 100% KYC, I call it KYM, know your members information, by periodic engagement with contact persons for the various companies to assist with information, sensitization during staff education, and sensitization during quarterly performance review. So we entreat you to ensure that all these are updated. Petra has also been encouraging members to update the details of their beneficiaries to ensure a smooth and fast payment of benefits in the unfortunate event that a member loses his or her life. In conclusion, I wish to once again express our profound gratitude to members of the scheme for the confidence you have in us to manage your assets and your continued support. I also wish to thank the board, management and staff of Petra for their relentless, tireless efforts to ensure the growth of the scheme. To my fellow scheme board members here present with me, both past and present, thank you for your sound advice and guidance to the scheme. To all our partners, fund manager, custodian and auditor, thank you for the high standard professional services that you provide to the scheme. Thank you all, and we look forward to fruitful and successful years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Egan. And that was the closing remarks from Mr. Charles Egan, who's the independent trustee on the Evergreen Tier 2 pension scheme. And yes, we've come to the end of another scheme members conference. We had one last year, and interestingly, it's this year again. I remember last time we had the conference, people were a bit skeptical about the DDEP, but this year, the scheme, as Mr. Egan has said, from inception has grown to over 300% of what it started with over 5,000 members and counting. And so, just to acknowledge every single person that passed through today, we have the trustees, Mr. Kofi Finn, who's the chairman of the trust board, Mr. Charles Egan, independent trustee. Thank you for being here physically present.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have Mr. Nulabe J, also member nominated trustee on the board, who joined virtually, and Mr. Nixon Ewa Amwa. We have switched them, but thank you also as a trustee who joined virtually. Again, to all the people that work behind the scenes in supporting the board and also working tirelessly to ensure that the board works and is compliant and gives you much of the best services that you receive. We also want to express gratitude to Mr. Sylvester Jan, who passed through today to give us a presentation on the scheme's investments and strategy, performance and outlook, and to Sefaji Ahiabu from John K & Co. that presented the independent opinion, financial opinion that showed us that we have a clean bill of health and that the scheme was compliant and it was a true and fair position when the audits was conducted for the scheme. And so that gives us a lot of comfort. Mr. Ni Amu Otu, also head of standards and enforcement at the NPRA, for passing through to give us some enforcement and enhancements to the work that the trustees were already doing. And then to the Petra team, Phyllis Peregrino and Kennedy Smith, who passed by to give us some of the new initiatives that were being carried up and some enhancements that were also being done for you. It's safe to say Happy New Year in a way, because we've ended the 2023 period and we are doing the scheme conference looking back at what happened in 2023 and 2024. We hope to see you again in 2025 while we discuss the issues for 2024, and we know that the story would be a beautiful one then. So thank you, scheme member, as well, for taking out 2 hours to watch this webinar. Please note that it will be available on our different social media channels and portals, so you can refer to it for some of the salient information you didn't get if you didn't join on time. My name is Sarah Aye, and we hope to see you again next year. Thank you for being such a good sport. Bye.
My name is Angela Libel, and I was former MD of Bayport's Financial Service, now Bayport Savings and Loans. And in 2012, when we were looking for corporate trustees to manage our Tier 3, amongst the many companies that came, somehow Petra was the one that we got attracted to from their pitch. And so we started business with Petra in 2012. Basically, they explained to the entire staff and to management, etc., But for me personally, one thing that I learned or I took on was that at the time the government was giving 16.5% tax deductible on your provident fund if you had one. So I realized that although the company was given, I think 7.7, I realized that I could give more based on the advice of Petra. So personally, I was giving the full 16.5%, 7 and 9.5 from myself. Now we contributed for so long and everything was okay. One of the good things was their statements, so individuals could see their statements. We could all monitor our statements. If we had a problem, we could contact them. But basically, everything has been fine and was fine then. Personally, it did help me in my retirement. I took early retirement in 2017-18. My late husband wasn't too well, so we flew to the UK. And one good experience that I had with Petra, it got to a time where some of the bills got very high and I needed money. So I think if I recall well, I called Kennedy Smith and then he just said, you can do it online. So what I did was he walked me through doing it online. The money was paid into my account and then the bankers transferred it to the UK hospital. That was a good one. Thereafter, I've taken out some of the money for my mango farm. I've introduced Petra to a lot of people, admittedly, especially the savings booster. So if you work, we have this family meeting here of children we took care of. We call it E85. And for everybody, they are supposed to open a Petra booster account as an individual because most of them work for themselves. So it's been good. I would encourage people to use the booster plan. I'll encourage people to look at their statements. I like this idea that when you look at your statement, you see where the monies have been placed in this wheel of circle, where they've portioned the money, apportioned the investments, telling you the returns on the investment. So I think it's generally good. I'm on retirement. I intend starting work, a little project. When I do, I'll come back to Petra. That's for sure, for my employees. So thank you.